showtime!
Okay, calm down. It's time. I'm finally going to do the attacks. I was going to do both the normal and charge attacks, but then I kind of remembered that a lot of the charge attacks are very similar to each other. With Claymore, there's only 2 different types. Bows, well, they're just all charge shots, but with elements. Pole arms are mostly all the same, and swords are also very similar to each other, which really only leaves catalysts. For that reason, it's just going to be the normal attacks. It'll be more fair and more interesting that way. Like, what am I going to do ranking a bow charge attack? Just rank it based on the color? Anyway, let's just get right into it. Also, I named the tiers this time just because I felt like it. They're still like the same, like S, A, B, C, D, F, you know, same stuff. Amber's got a pretty basic attack. There's no denying that, but it does have one kind of cool little detail. Every time she shoots, she closes one eye. And while that isn't really required in real life archery, you do see it a lot in movies and TV shows. It's pretty cool to include such a small little detail, and it's something that I don't think any other archer does. Maybe they do, but honestly, I'm not going to check every single one to see if they do. I've only checked a few. Despite that, she can hang out in the basic tier because, well, she's basic. Unless this is your first of my list, you already know how I feel about Barbara's stuff. Her attacks, everything she's got, her skill stuff, they're all gorgeous. The symbols, the color, the effects, all of it. They make for a really good looking package. If only I liked the rest of her character as much as I love her animations, because, well, these things will never see the light of day on my account. She's also got a gorgeous charge attack. Honestly, probably one of the best, if not the best in the game. 4s and 5 stars. As always, I don't need to like this character to acknowledge when it comes to animations, Barbara's top tier. We gotta get some Fs in the comments for Beidou. Killing a Leviathan without a vision was not enough for her. She also needs to now kick a Claymore with her tiny little leg, probably shattering every bone just to prove how badass she is. We get it, girl. You're too cool for an ankle that doesn't flop around like a dead fish. Other than that complete display of just not giving a fuck, I would say she's got a little bit of spice and a leg made of solid steel. In this case, Bennett is going to stand for boring. He's just so damn basic that he's boring. I do not care. Now, the only thing cool about Chongyun's combo is the C1 ice blades that come from his finisher, but I'm not gonna count those. It doesn't seem fair to. I mean, a C1 isn't hard to get, and it's basically something everybody's gonna have very quickly or eventually, but I just don't think it's right to count it. If I did, it would be one of the best in the game because it's just cool as shit and it's really unique, but without it, Chongyun is boring as all hell. For the purposes of my list, I'm gonna put him in boring. If you feel like the C1 blade should have counted, well, he would have been an S. The after poses of the final 3 hits of Diona's attacks are really what make her chain special. She's not the only one to do this, and she's certainly not the one to do it the best, not by a long shot. But they still look really nice, and they're very stylish. They suit her very well. Girl's got style. And speaking of awesome after poses, we have Fischl, probably the character who does this the best, at least in my opinion. This is just Fischl being Fischl at her most eccentric. They match her larger than life persona, and the sad part is you don't really get to see a lot of it because, well, you only see it if you attack really slowly. But you know what person who decided to do that? I noticed. She goes straight to the top for me. One detail that some people might not have noticed with Gorou, because who the hell attacks with Gorou, is that on his finisher, he actually drags a claw into the ground. Much like the other two, he also has some cool after poses, but quite frankly, the only thing I need to see is the claw in the ground. It may not be enough for me to justify putting him at the very top, but it is enough to get him close. Just a damn shame that we don't actually get to see this stuff. Like, I'm all about going off meta, but I'm not about going so far off meta that you actually lose cell service. I like things to at least be somewhat viable. Kaeya's a bit of a mixed bag. He's got some fancy stuff like his little teleport blink thing, but he's also just got a lot of basic slashes. I know it would have sucked, like, gameplay-wise, because his AoE would have been a lot worse, but I think Kaeya would have been a lot cooler if he was, like, more of a fencer. Because his final pose on his charge attack, it looks like a fencing pose. Or at least a pose you would use with a thrusting weapon, which, I mean, all swords kind of are thrusting weapons, but still. I'm not a fencer, I just think it would have been cool, but his AoE would have sucked. I'd say Kaeya's a little fancy. To Despite the name I gave the S category, Lisa's just doesn't do it for me that much. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love the lightning effects. I do wish the blink looked a little bit better, and I don't know. The particle effects are good looking. They're nothing amazing, but they're clean and they get the job done. I think she can probably hang out with Kaeya in the fancy tier. Obviously, if charge attack counted, she'd do a lot better because her charge attack is amazing looking. But we can't have Lisa bringing a gun to a knife fight. Now, old Ningguang, she has some amazing looking visuals with her attacks. The portals that the projectiles actually come out of look really nice. The only bad thing I have to say about this attack is it's just very repetitive, because it's basically the same thing over and over again with some slightly different hand gestures and a little twirl every once in a while. If not for that lack of variety, she would be an easy top tier, but I'm just gonna like put her right on the outside of it. But she's, you know, pressing up against the glass, breathing heavily. Noelle has only a bit more than your average Claymore user has going for them. She's got some kind of unique poses, like her little twirls and body movements, but she's exactly like where the tier I'm going to put her is. She's basic. Luckily, those basic attacks get augmented with a gigantic Geo Energy Sword, though, so, you know, that makes up for it. Right out the gate, I'm saying that I'm not including his burst as part of his auto attacks. They're not. We're just judging the basic attack here, which sadly is boring as all hell. I do think it's slightly saved by his finisher, though. I love how when he slams his sword into the ground, Razor's body like flies upwards. Because, I don't know, I think it kind of plays into the fact that he's feral and he might go a little ham in combat and just put a little bit more force than he can handle in it, and the recoil just makes him fly upwards. It's enough to make him basic, not boring. Rosaria's got one of those attacks that I just look at and I just think it's cool as fuck. I love it. I can't say much about it, but I like it. I think it's just a very satisfying chain to watch, especially when you actually do it in full speed. She's got a slam, she's got a thrusting combo, she's got a wide sweeps, like, just awesome. I think it belongs in like the second highest tier with Ningguang. It doesn't feel fair to Ningguang to go higher, but she's definitely on the same caliber. This might be a little bit of a controversial one, because I know there's a lot of love for Sara out there and her like no nonsense, very like authoritarian personality. I don't really like the whole strict like adherence to authority thing that she's got going on. And as much as that does show in her animations, it doesn't do it for me. I don't think it looks amazing, but it suits her, if that makes sense. She's got a little bit of spice for me, but I understand why someone might appreciate what she's got going on a little bit more than I do. Here's where Sayu's going to have her first strong showing on any of my lists. I love her attack chain. I think it's really cool looking. It really suits her lore and how she uses her animo vision, at least from what I understand. It just looks really nice, really clean attack chain. Again, just a shame that we don't get to see it. Once again, I can't justify putting in the top, but damn, she's got a lot of style. Much like Lisa's, Sucrose's attack doesn't really blow me away. Haha, animo pun. They are very nice, very clean, just like Lisa's, but they don't quite do it for me like Barbara's does. Again, I'm highly biased towards water effects. They're what I like the most. I think they're very pretty. These are just okay, but they fancy. So you can go hang out with our fancy Mondstadt buddies. Just guess where I'm gonna put Thoma, because you probably know everything this man does is top tier material, except, you know, combat. This attack chain, like many of the newer polearm users, is just one of the coolest in the game. Like, fuck, I'm sad we can't actually use this, like, reasonably. Poor Thoma, but at least you're S tier in all my lists, and this one isn't any different. Xiangling may not be the fanciest of the polearm users, but you know, she's got a little cross chop, she's got a little thrust combo. None of it's particularly special looking, but it's something. It's kind of cool looking. I think that earns her a little bit of spice. Because she likes chili. Because, you know, chili is spicy. 0 out of 10. Does not take advantage of any water effects. I'm kidding, of course, but goddamn, he's boring. I mean, I have him marked down as basic, but does he deserve that? I guess like the flips and like spin at the end are kind of cool, but ugh. I guess he can stay because I don't want to move him. It's fine, I guess. Much like any time he uses his skill near cryo, he is on thin ice. Xinyan usually knocks out of the park on these things, but just like Xinqiu, without her special particle effect stuff, she's just left with a really boring attack chain. Like there's literally nothing special going on here, so she's boring. You know what's great? Fireballs. You know what's even better? Throwing fireballs of flare. You know what's even better than that? T-posing on your enemies as they burn to death in front of you. She can T-pose her way right up to the top of the list because I love that she does this. Her charge attack is also really pretty. It would also top the list if I was ranking those things. And last but definitely not least, we have Yun Jin. And just like Fischl, if you give her attacks time to play through, she does a lot of cool poses at the end, and they're really nice looking. Yun Jin takes the opportunity to do this at the end of a lot of things because it's part of her theme and they really nailed it. An unbelievable amount of care and time went into Yun Jin, proving that 4 stars also get love and it's not just 5 stars that get all the fancy things. She easily gets to hang out at the top of the list with everyone else there because she deserves that spot because, well, just look at her. The 5-star list will be coming not directly after this one, but soon after. I think it'll be a little bit more interesting because they do put a little bit more effort into 5-star attacks, at least for the most part. The 4 stars did a lot better than I expected though. I barely put any down in the boring tier. I didn't even really have to adjust my standards or be kinder to them because they're basic attacks and they don't have shiny particle effects like skills and bursts. Which if you have not seen yet, I do have a list for both 4 and 5-star burst animations. I've already ranked those and this has become an unintentional series that I never intended to do but was requested and I'm happy to do it. I almost forgot I also literally just ranked every character from my personal favorite to least favorite, which does add some context to these lists, but ultimately how much I like a character does not impact their spot. Barbara. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially on a video like this. I like to hear your thoughts, especially if you disagree with me, because that's, well, let's be honest, that's the most common, especially on subjective opinions like this, and I'm cool with it either way. Respect each other's opinions, you know, we all have different tastes. Be nice to each other down there, and I will see you in the next one.